从静福无声到动若雷霆，狙击精英生动还原了狙击手在战场上的步步惊心。从2005年至今，这个聚焦于狙击体验的射击游戏系列，已经在全球范围内获得了超过3500万名玩家的青睐。下面有请 Jordan Woodward 和 Ben Fisher 带来狙击精英幕后的开发故事。
Hi and welcome to our presentation, taking you behind the scenes of the Sniper Elite franchise. My name is Jordan Woodward. I'm Head of Design here at Rebellion.
And I am Ben Fisher, the Assistant Head of Design. Thank you for taking the time to join us today, and we hope you enjoy our presentation.
So let's give you a little background about the franchise itself. The original Sniper Elite launched in 2005 on the PlayStation 2, original Xbox, Wii, PC and Mac. It was, and indeed still is, a third-person tactical shooter set during World War II. The player assumes the role of an expert marksman who takes a more tactical approach to warfare than the more run-and-gun shooter games on the market. In total, there have been 6 games in the franchise, including a dedicated VR experience that was launched last year. The franchise has also spawned a number of books, comics, a board game, and work is underway on a feature film. The latest game in the series, Sniper Elite 5, launched in May this year on PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One and PC. With over 35 million players enjoying the franchise, a number which grows day by day, Sniper Elite is the flagship series here at Rebellion and has won numerous awards and great recognition from players, critics, and the industry at large. A franchise that now has 4 full releases to go to its name and continues to go from strength to strength.
One of the most important aspects of any game are the key characters, and we have put a lot of effort and focus into the creation of the characters and their backstory. Indeed, this has led to several books being created to flesh out the wider story of our hero, Carl Fairburn. Born in Germany to a US diplomat father and British mother, Carl's family had to flee to America after his father was wrongly accused of spying. Once in the USA, Carl joined the military and was trained by the Special Operations Executive, becoming the second highest ranking marksman on record at world-renowned West Point Military Academy in New York. He has since become an expert in covert operations and a deadly sniper who is highly respected by both the American and British forces.
Now, let's take a deeper dive into the design, art and development process behind the latest release in the series, Sniper Elite 5. Released worldwide on May 26th this year, translated into 12 languages, the latest installment in the award-winning series, Sniper Elite 5, offers an unparalleled tactical sniping experience. It is now down to Carl to reveal exactly what the Axis forces are planning and to end Operation Kraken and the mastermind behind it, Abelard Moller, before it can be launched. Set over a sprawling 8-mission single-player campaign, we have created the most vibrant, immersive, and interactive maps ever featured in the Sniper Elite franchise. Many real-world locations from across France and the Channel Islands have been captured in stunning detail, making this the best Sniper Elite experience to date.
We set out the process of creating the game with a number of key features in mind at the start of the projects. These would almost form the back-of-the-box features that will attract the player to purchase the game in the first place. We wanted to create an expansive campaign with real-world locations that have been captured using photogrammetry to produce a living, immersive environment with multiple infiltration and extraction points. Side missions, hidden collectibles, and kill list targets provide a whole new perspective on each mission and offer greater depth to the overall narrative that helps drive the player through the game. While players are also able to take on the Nazi plot solo, we wanted to encourage them to play cooperatively with a partner by introducing new mechanics that allow them to share ammo and items, give orders, and heal each other. Similarly, we wanted to introduce further jeopardy to the campaign and have introduced a new invasion mode. This is where another human player can invade your campaign missions, creating a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. This new dimension to the challenge ramps up the tension both players feel as they start to second-guess every move. We introduced new tools for both players to enhance the experience, with the allied player able to use telephones dotted around the map to get intel on the invader's position, while the invader can utilize the AI to act as spotters, helping to reveal Carl's location. In playtesting, this mode proved to be a huge hit in the studio and led to further enhancements and ideas, showing how iterative and live the development process can be. For example, we had one invader pretending to be an AI soldier, moving deliberately and on what appeared to be a seemingly defined patrol path. The allied player assumed it was AI and tried to sneak by as they did not want to create any noise. However, he was easily spotted by the invader, who got a simple kill. This then got us thinking about different ways players can approach the game mode, and resulted in us creating unlockable outfits for the invader to help them blend into the AI, or the undergrowth, depending on their playstyle.
Outside of invasion mode, the weaponry is of course central to any shooter. While we always want to remain authentic, we also want to offer choice to the player wherever possible. So we introduced a new weapon customization system. Players are now able to customize and upgrade virtually every aspect of their weapon, changing the scopes, stocks, barrels, magazines, and more. Rifles, secondaries, and pistols all have huge variety of options. On top of that, you can select the ammo to suit your target, from armor piercing right down to non-lethal. Similarly, the way weapons feel and respond is incredibly important. So we've advanced our gunplay and physics. Players can now factor in rifle stock and barrel options, along with gravity, wind, and heart rate, while you line up the sights on your target. We also wanted the player to be able to explore the map in new and interesting ways, so we introduced new traversal mechanics. Carl can now use zip lines, slide down slopes, and shimmy across ledges to reach the perfect vantage point, or to sneak past sharp-eyed enemies, unlocking even more possibilities. Finally, adversarial multiplayer is always a vital component of any shooter. However, Sniper Elite is a unique experience as we try to encourage stealth and long-range warfare, as opposed to more run-and-gun approaches. We have quite a suite of multiplayer modes and customization options for players to either play individually or in team-based warfare.
While working on the game design, we created a number of key pillars that should be present throughout the gameplay experience. These will be central to everything that the player experiences and should permeate through every game mode and feature. The core of the gameplay for Sniper Elite is that mantra of observe, plan, execute that should be central to the game design and be reflected in every situation we place Carl into. Every time a player enters a new mission or scenario within a mission, we want to offer them the ability to take their time to observe what is happening, how many guards are there, where the alarms are there heavy weapons or vehicles, is there an alternative route, and more. This observation phase will lead to them creating a plan of action. This may be to try and sneak past undetected. It may be to find a vantage point and take out the guards with a sniper rifle. It may be to run in head first. Every player is different and will approach each scenario differently, but they will usually have a plan. It's then all down to the execution of the plan, and if things do not go well, adjusting and refining your options in order to survive, or at least enter that conflict better prepared following a restart. So much of our game is about offering options to the player. We also want to offer the player choice wherever we can. Choice about how they play. Are they stealthy or loud? Choice about the routes they take through a map. Do they engage the enemy or find a way round? Choice about their loadout, the side missions and collectibles. We want to leave as many choices down to the player as possible, allowing them to play the game in the best way that suits them and their playstyle. This gives them the sense that they are always in control. That said, this is a tactical sniping game, and therefore, satisfying sniping should be at the core of all levels in the game. We want to empower the player with opportunities to discover vantage points and sound masks, allowing them to plan and execute the perfect long shot. These should not be restricted to single shots, but instead the player should be given the opportunity to make multiple satisfying long shots. We encourage stealth by crafting situations where the enemy looks intelligent and formidable, but on closer inspection, there are weak points for the player to discover and take advantage of. The player has the tools and means to plan and use stealth to overcome powerful and more numerous enemy forces, and where suitable, we reward the player for taking a stealthy approach. Our levels are huge, and a great deal of work goes into creating them and their aesthetic, so we want to encourage players to explore the level and discover hidden secrets, objectives, and collectibles. The side missions you complete and items you discover will uncover further details about the game's narrative, giving the player more reason to seek them out. Each level should be full of interesting locations, encounters, and collectibles for the player to discover, as well as offering new ways to use tools and skills in order to complete objectives and defeat the enemy.
By offering multiple modes of progression outside the core game loop, we make the player feel like they're always moving forwards in one way or another. They have various ways to rank up and improve their character with skills and abilities, as well as their weapons and loadout, which will grow with the player, offering new toys and upgrades. The expansive campaign and levels offer more than just story progression in the form of challenges, optional objectives, and the discovery of collectibles. All of this adds to replayability. We don't want a player to just blast through the campaign and never visit these locations again. We want them to keep coming back for more as they learn new skills and tricks that enable them to complete the missions in new and diverse ways on replays. They can build XP by finding new and creative ways to take out their targets and take on challenges, such as going through a mission and just concentrating on non-lethal takedowns. This helps to keep them engaged with the game and the Sniper Elite experience. Finally, we wanted to make our AI smarter, so that they now work more as a team, able to alert one another to nearby threats, raise alarms and call in reinforcements. This is also true of our vehicle AI. Previously, they were restricted to given pathways and routes, whereas now they have complete freedom to track you down, even if that means going off-road. This is particularly threatening when there's a huge tank hunting you across open fields.
Naturally, the way we design the game's levels, maps, and missions has an enormous effect on the gameplay experience. And for Sniper Elite 5, we have built the separate maps for the single-player and multiplayer elements of the game so that the maps are perfectly curated for those different game modes. These are the biggest, most immersive and interactive campaign maps that we have ever built, so it has been an incredible undertaking. When designing a mission or level for Sniper Elite, we bear in mind that firstly, the player must be able to see their objective and plan a route to get there. They must be able to gather intel on objectives and on enemy positions and plan a strategy to take them out in a stealthy manner. They must be able to take advantage of emergent situations, and they must be able to attempt an escape if their plan breaks down. The purpose of level design in Sniper Elite is to set up distinct and memorable situations and events that encourage these behaviours. Levels should make the player feel clever for observing an encounter, choosing between distinct and meaningful options, and successfully deploying a plan. We should not try and beat the player, we should give the player the tools needed to succeed against a more powerful foe. With that in mind, each encounter should contain a choreographed moment to take in a vista of a new location, visible, significant threats and activity, making a stealth combat puzzle and allowing the player to consider multiple options, rising tension as they start committing to a course of action, risk of death if they are not stealthy, and a sense of relief as they complete a course of action and escape the area.
This closely matches the experiential learning cycle, and it can help to think of a player's process of building a mental model in those terms. This pattern applies to the main objective in an entire mission, but also applies to each arena, each encounter, even down to choosing the right time to pick a lock. Part of the core fun is juggling all of these scales as the pressure rises. The ideal runtime for a mission is approximately 40 minutes for a normal playthrough. Obviously, everyone will approach these missions in a slightly different way, so some playthroughs will be longer, some will be shorter. However, we want that to be the player's decision, because they want to take it slowly, or explore the level, complete certain side missions or certain challenges. Each mission typically contains 7 or 8 arenas with distinct themes. This could be built-up areas, farmland, industrial settings, or much more. Each arena contains 2 to 3 enemy encounters surrounded by a safe observation space to enable the observe, plan, execute gameplay. Between the arenas, we have what we call transition spaces, each of which provides an observation point into the next arena, allowing for far more planning and cool vistas.
This means that the player is led through the following pattern. They approach through a transition space at a low level of tension. Their attention is on navigating and some simple enemy encounters, but nothing that is likely to get out of control if they pay attention. The transition space ends with a piece of cover marking an observation point, positioned to interrupt their natural flow forward and reveal an encounter at a small distance. The obvious threat of the encounter should be enough that they have to stop and think about their available options. They can get closer to the encounter through observation space, gradually building up a fuller picture of the threat ahead and revealing more options to tackle it. They begin engaging with the encounter in their preferred playstyle. There should always be a stealth route to complete each objective, but not every encounter must favour stealth play. Finally, the new traversal mechanics also opened up a number of level design opportunities as we decided where to place ziplines, hidden areas, and offering the player the opportunity to use verticality to create new routes through the mission or access previously hidden areas.
During the development of the DLC for Sniper Elite 4, we began experimenting with photogrammetry for the creation of the assets within the game. This started with modelling some trees that appeared in the season content. As our art team became more comfortable and knowledgeable with the benefits of photogrammetry, it made sense for us to move towards a photogrammetry-led system for the majority of Sniper Elite 5. This is a massive undertaking. In the last couple of years, we've visited close to 100 locations, scanned thousands of objects, and generated hundreds of terabytes of data. Our photogrammetry team's mission was to scan almost everything that goes into the game, from rocks, tree stumps, and brick walls, to more complicated items such as vehicles, buildings, furniture, and foliage. These all require unique techniques and equipment. We undertook research trips to France and the Channel Islands and various other locations. These included German submarine pens in Saint-Nazaire, Fort Homé and the Miras Battery in Guernsey, and Mont Saint-Michel. These are invaluable to achieving authenticity. Not only do they allow us to gather all-important reference imagery, but they also provide great inspiration. Once you visit a location, you're able to get a feel for it, and that simply isn't possible from just seeing images and videos. You get a sense of how you want it to appear in the game. You may also notice something that gives you an idea for a set piece or an event within one of the missions. This enables us to deliver a greater level of detail and immersion, as the levels and assets not only look great, but they're incredibly immersive and visceral. It feels like you could reach out and touch the textures and various incidental items within the game. By capturing the exact looks, textures, and character of these real-world, time-accurate items, we're hammering home our desire for authenticity, which is noticed and appreciated by our extremely knowledgeable community. The weapons are one of the most important aspects of our games. Sniping does not work unless the rifle you're holding looks, sounds, feels, and acts like you would expect. Again, this is where authenticity and having access to real-world reference is invaluable to us and the final gameplay experience. We undertook a number of research trips to the Imperial War Museum, the Royal Armouries, and combat dealers to ensure that we could get as close to authentic as possible, whilst also drawing from advice and knowledge from experts such as Jonathan Ferguson. During our research, we saw some incredible examples of how weapons have been adapted and customized to suit a particular soldier's or mission's needs, or simply the iterative development of a given model of weapon over time. Fixing or addressing an issue with a particular weapon model means updating it, often introducing new problems.
One example would be the Sten submachine gun. This went through an extensive number of iterations and offered a host of options. The Mark IIS was a special mode designed for stealth operations and featured a suppressor along with a revised stock, altering its handling characteristics. At the Royal Armouries, we were presented with a great wall of Stens from the original prototype through to the Mark V and the various special editions. It was rather inspiring. This led to us enhancing the weapon customization within the game. Authenticity is still important to us though, so as far as possible, we try to keep within the realms of what would have actually been feasible for someone to create at the time. We introduced 3 hidden workbenches into each of the levels. Finding these not only allows the player to customize their various weapons and loadout mid-missions, but also unlocks further customization options. The player can then customize the sight, barrel, muzzle, magazine, stock, and receiver to create a weapon that suits their playstyle. The effect of the various changes and attachments is illustrated to the player through key statistics: power, rate of fire, control, and mobility. There are a lot of options, and we suggest that players try out some variations, pay close attention to the stats, and find a suite of weapons that best suits their individual approach and playstyle. In fact, when you factor in the various ammunition types that we offer to the player, there are over 8 million possible permutations. One final aspect of the weaponry that is equally as important is the audio. With this in mind, we undertook numerous recording sessions to capture the authentic sounds of as many of the weapons as possible. We recorded them at various ranges as well as the sounds of handling and reloading to ensure we are as close to the real thing as possible.
Multiplayer is hugely important, especially for shooters, as it helps to give the game longevity long after the player has completed the single-player campaign. Enhancing our multiplayer offering for Sniper Elite 5 was a key goal, as we want to keep the players immersed in the universe for as long as we can. It is also imperative that we play to our strengths and the strengths of the franchise, namely tactical sniping, and the observe, plan, execute gameplay loop. It's not a pure run and gun experience, so we shouldn't try to be one in multiplayer. One of the biggest undertakings was enabling true crossplay, meaning that our players can compete against each other, or indeed play together, no matter what platform they're playing on. There are a lot of considerations at work here in order to make this work in a seamless way. The introduction of the previously mentioned invasion mode has been huge for the game's multiplayer, driving more players into the idea of sniping against one another, and has heightened the levels of tension in what would normally be a single-player campaign. Similarly, the entire campaign is playable in co-op, meaning that you can tackle the objectives and missions with a friend, leading to some incredible gameplay experiences. We enhanced the mechanics and tools in co-op to encourage more people to take part, including the ability to heal one another, share ammo and equipment, and flag nearby targets or points of interest.
In terms of adversarial multiplayer, we have taken a lot of learnings from our previous games. We canvassed our community and studied the way that the games have been played, resulting in a number of improvements, fixes, and changes. To begin with, each of the multiplayer maps has been specifically designed and tailored with multiplayer in mind. This ensures that we are playing to the game's strengths, and they have been a big hit in playtesting. We encourage movement around these maps through supply drops, which appear regularly and offer a host of upgrades, items, ammunition, heavy weapons, and experience. We offer 4 different adversarial multiplayer options. Free-for-all, a deathmatch style game where it's everyone for themselves. Team match. Players are split into 2 teams of up to 8 players, allowing larger scale of cooperation. Squad match. 4 teams of up to 4 players promoting slower, more methodical gameplay as players work as a team. And no cross. This is unique Sniper Elite. It's a 2-team game where players battle at long range while separated by an impenetrable barrier, swapping sides halfway through the match. A prime example of playing to our strengths. Players can adjust the scoring method in the server settings, selecting between kills, kill distance, and points and skill to determine the winner. We have also added a number of customization options in the settings that allow players to create the kind of game they want, such as a fan favourite, Distance King. In terms of progression, we took the decision to separate the single-player and multiplayer progression systems. In previous games, they have been linked, meaning that you could unlock all the weapons and customization options in single-player to take them into multiplayer, giving them a clear advantage. We want everyone to start from an equal point and earn their multiplayer gear and attachments by playing multiplayer. Multiplayer also now has its own set of perks grouped into class-like trees. The actual classes augment a particular style of play, while keeping true to the series concept that every player is primarily a sniper.
So with all of that in mind, how has the game been received by the critics and our community? I'm pleased to say extremely well. We have some of the highest scores ever received from a Sniper Elite game, including a Eurogamer recommended, 8 out of 10 from GameSpot, and 4.5 out of 5 from Games Radar. The studio is rightly very proud, and the scores reflect the huge effort the teams have put in.
These quotes from the press speak for themselves, but in case they are a little too small for you to read, Polygon said, Sniper Elite has elevated an already fantastic franchise to the pantheon of the immersive sandbox greats. Eurogamer commented, Sniper Elite 5 has blown me away. I spent most of my weekend with it in a state of delighted befuddlement, constantly muttering, isn't this brilliant, as it delivered yet another incredibly designed level. And Games Radar, Sniper Elite 5 is the best it's ever been, with a new game mode that'll blow your mind. Brilliant and brutal. Similarly, the feedback from our community has been overwhelmingly positive, with some amazing comments, tweets, posts, and streams being created.
We closely monitor the online sentiment and the feedback from our players, noting recurring themes, issues, and concerns, then addressing them wherever possible. Our community team is an important asset and tool to the development process, as they are an immediate link to the people who are actually playing and enjoying our game. We hope you enjoyed this brief behind-the-scenes peek at the Sniper Elite franchise.